We have been following a lot of breaking news over coming into the newsroom. This coming in courtesy of the Associated Press, as well as Reuters, a story that we have been following here as ABC has now suspended Jimmy Kimmel's late night show indefinitely following comments that he made about Charlie Kirk's killing. The network's decision came. Nexstar announced that its ABC affiliates would preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely over his comments. Quote, Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located. That's according to Andrew Alford, president of Nexstar's broadcasting division. As we mentioned, Nexstar made the announcement about its stations, and ABC followed that by pulling the plug indefinitely on Jimmy Kimmel's late night show.
Breaking news. ABC has just suspended Jimmy Kimmel late night show indefinitely following the comment he made about Charlie Kirk killing. What triggered this move? ABC pulling the plug on Jimmy Kimmel live show overnight over the comment he made. This news is shocking the world. Anyway, let's dive into the next clip to hear why ABC Brenda Carr urged broadcasters to stop airing the show on ABC, and also what is the reason behind it. Anyway, let's listen.
FCC Chair Brendan Carr had urged local broadcasters to stop airing the show on ABC. So again, Nexstar made the decision to pull it from their stations, and then after that, ABC said, we're going to suspend the late night show altogether indefinitely. And this is all related, of course, to the comments that were made about Charlie Kirk's killing. The conservative political activist shot and killed in a targeted attack 1 week ago today. ABC then suspending Jimmy Kimmel's late night show 1 week later indefinitely.
Coming up next, the reality is setting in for Jimmy Kimmel. Why is Disney pulling up the plug on him with ABC channel? This is so shocking. Anyway, let's dive into this next clip. Disney and the ABC network are taking Jimmy Kimmel show live off the air. The reason between Disney and ABC will leave you speechless. Let's dive in.
Disney and the ABC network are taking Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air indefinitely. This follows a controversy over comments the late night comedian made Monday night about Charlie Kirk's suspected killer and the MAGA movement and their reaction to the assassination.
Now let's find out what's going on by Brian Carter. Brian, what's going on?
This is fast developing this afternoon, Jake, amid pressure from the Trump-aligned FCC. And in the past few minutes, ABC confirmed to CNN that Kimmel's show will be off the air, quote, indefinitely. We have not yet heard from Kimmel or his representatives. That's how quickly this has been developing. But let's back up and look at what Kimmel actually said on the program that has caused controversy. This is from Monday night in his Monday evening monologue. Kimmel suggested that the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk might have been a pro-Trump Republican. He said, quote, the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. He said in between the finger pointing, there was grieving. Kimmel was expressing what we've heard some other liberals say in recent days, that the motives are unclear and that maybe the suspect in this case was a Republican or was some sort of far-right fringe figure. Of course, there has been a lot of discussion about that in recent days. There's a lot of evidence pointing in other directions about the suspect. But Kimmel was on the air talking about this, making a very serious commentary amid his jokes in his monologue Monday night. Here's where it became interesting earlier today. The FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, went on a far-right webcast and condemned Kimmel and urged ABC to suspend him. He also talked about possible regulatory punishments of Disney because there are lots of different stations that have licenses with the FCC. Within the past hour, we've heard from a big owner of stations that have affiliations with ABC, a company called Nexstar, saying that they were going to suspend Kimmel's show on their station. So in other words, about 24 stations were refusing to air Kimmel's show tonight as a result of this controversy. And then following word that some of those stations were basically revolting against Kimmel, Disney, the parent company of ABC, decided to yank the show entirely. So that's all we know at the moment. We know that Kimmel will not be on the air tonight or for the foreseeable future because the network says the show has been yanked off the air indefinitely.
We all have heard what is said about Jimmy Kimmel comments. Do you think his remark about Charlie Kirk killer is strong enough for them to pull or cancel his show? And it's spreading so fast to the point that 24 networks already pull out on his show. Do you think that the network decision is justified, or do you think they are too harsh on him? I want you to be the judge. Let me know what you think on the comment section, and we're gonna dive into the next clip and hear exactly what Jimmy Kimmel said about Charlie Kirk. Let's listen.
What he said specifically was, quote, "The MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it." That can be read in several ways. That could be heard in several ways. It could also be argued he's saying that what the MAGA gang is doing is just trying to make sure that they don't have any ownership of it, not necessarily that this killer, this horrible person.
Now, Brian, what do you think about what the last commentator said? Do you think he's making a point?
Very important point. And let's take it a little bit step further. This was all on Monday night. Nobody seemed to notice this yesterday. It's all erupted in the past few hours when the Trump-aligned FCC chairman decided to point at it. Now, I've heard from him in the past few minutes, Brendan Carr, thanking Nexstar for doing the right thing by yanking the show. He has not yet commented on ABC yanking the show altogether across the entire country. But let's remember that when Stephen Colbert's show was canceled over the summer, what did President Trump say? He said, next up will be an even less talented Jimmy Kimmel. It is clear that pro-Trump allies have been trying to target ABC over Kimmel for several weeks now, and tonight they've prevailed.
Let's listen to what the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, said on Twitter today.
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct possible. Obviously, look, there's calls for Kimmel to be fired. I think, you could certainly see a path forward for suspension over this. And again, the FCC is going to have remedies that we could look at.
Now, over to you, Joe. Are you comfortable FCC playing this role?
So, to the point of whether there's a legal element here, I think Joe's right. Like, the First Amendment says Congress shall make no law, which means you can only enforce the First Amendment against the government. So, can Jimmy Kimmel sue? No, he can't sue ABC for making a decision to remove him. That's a private entity. But what Donald Trump is doing repeatedly is he's expanding his executive power in two ways. One, I would say, is precedented. That's the traditional stuff. I have more authority to hire and fire executive branch officials. I don't have to respond to Congress, that kind of thing. He's fighting that out in the court. We've seen that before. What's unprecedented, however, is the way Donald Trump is using official power from the FCC on to go after universities, law firms, and media companies that he disagrees with on policy or on politics. That is new. We've not seen that from any president before.
Okay, here comes my next question to Chuck Rocher. Do you think what is happening in America now about people losing their job over the remarks they make on Charlie Kirk, do you think it's a pattern or something that needs to stop soon? What do you think about this pattern?
Slippery slope, and there's a pattern. We keep talking about it like it's not happening, and it just keeps happening over and over and over again with folks he disagrees with. I'm a Democrat. I'll say what happened to Charlie Kirk is disgusting. We should have a court that if he did it, he should be prosecuted to every extent of the law. We shouldn't have to say that. That's just common sense. But we also should say the First Amendment matters to everybody, whether they agree or they disagree. And I just think that what we're going through right now is unprecedented. It's unseemly, and I think that it's really getting out of hand because it's just happening more and more and more with folks who disagree.
Now we have a exact clip about what Jimmy Kimmel said. Let's dive into the video.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Now let's hear about the exact way Fox News covered Jimmy Kimmel remarks about Charlie Kirk's killer.
Now, the way that Fox covered what he just said there was Kimmel suggests Kirk assassin was one of the MAGA gang. Despite reports of leftist leanings, I don't know that I think that is an accurate description, but they have the First Amendment to write what they want to write.
Over to you, Ellie. Do you think the FCC commissioner is very aggressive on this matter? What do you think?
Uncomfortable. I don't like anything about what Jimmy Kimmel said, frankly. I agree with Joe. I find his comments reprehensible, but it's not the FCC's job to say, do we like this or do we not? And the FCC, of course, is a government actor. And I'm thinking sort of off the top of my head here, but if ABC wanted to fight this, clearly they don't because they've made the decision to dispatch or suspend Jimmy Kimmel. If they wanted to fight this, they might have a basis to go into court the same way that law firms have gone into court, and Harvard, among other universities, have gone into court and said, this is an overextension of government power, of executive power. This violates the First Amendment. And again, they can bring that because the FCC is a government actor, but Jimmy Kimmel cannot do anything against ABC because they're private.
Okay, let's move on to the next person. How do you view what Jimmy Kimmel said? What's your thoughts?
I don't think ABC is canceling him because they're afraid of the FCC. I think they're afraid that they're going to lose whatever audience he has left because that's such an offensive thing he said. As far, look, there's so much media alternatives at this point. So I think the FCC's, the range of authority they have is less and less because there's so many other outlets to reach out to. So if Kimmel wants to reappear somewhere else, he will. I think the point is, though, that, again, when you alienate a part of the population who at some point just stops watching, then you have no incentive to keep whatever left of that audience there is. And then, you know, it just kind of goes down the drain.
In summary of this whole story, everybody have seen what is going on, and I believe it's a lesson learned. This is the second celebrity being suspended and close to being fired from the comment or remarks that they made about Charlie Kirk's death. At the end of the day, I'm asking that people should have a sense of humor. No matter what people's situation are, you don't mock them. I don't care if they lose their job or if they lose their life. There's no room for you to mock them because that person that you're mocking, always remember that they have their loved one who are in pain, and it's not fair to them for them to turn on the TV or the social media and see somebody mocking their loved one or mocking somebody for losing their job. At the end of the day, what did you get out of it? Nothing. Now people are feeling the pain when you get fired, you're crying, you're yelling and everything. How do you feel if somebody's laughing at you when you're crying that you lost your job? So the same thing goes to Charlie Kirk's family. How does the kids feel when they turn the TV and see that the Americans are mocking or laughing at their dad? It's not fair. That can bring hate. And whatever you're doing in this life, always know that there's always karma. And then you don't falsify any information to make somebody to lose their job, whether over Charlie Kirk's or something else. You don't falsify information so that somebody will be in pain. Remember that person has a family that they have to go to, or maybe if that person doesn't have, you're taking food off somebody's table, which is very, very wrong. And at the end of the day, your day will come, because as long as there is life, there is nothing permanent. The reason why people have positions open in a job or in any way is there's some people that will get fired, some people retire, and they need people to replace them. So whatever you do in life, nothing is permanent. And when you remember that nothing is permanent, it gives you the sense for you to think before you act. So what's your thought on this? Do you think ABC will bring Jimmy Kimmel back after his suspension? In conclusion, you all have heard what all the commentators said tonight. Let me know what you think. Do you think what's going on in America now is unprecedented? Do you think that ABC and Disney went too far, or they're too harsh on Jimmy? Let me know what you think on the comment section. At the end of the day, don't forget to do what, comment, like, and share this video. Until next time, and I thank you for watching.